Okay, welcome to my first on-the-fly video. This means everything I usually do in post will happen this time on the fly in real time. I hope this will work out quite nice, but it shouldn't make a real big difference to you if everything works out quite okay. And I would say let's start off with the revisited review of the Huawei P8 Lite. When I reviewed it the first time 6 months ago, it was already out for 9 months. This means we are already 15 months in, but usually it has a good reason why I do these revisited reviews, and I have two this time. The first one is, due to the recently reviewed Marshmallow update, a lot of people are curious how it performs now, and even though it's quite dated by now, due to the now affordable price, a lot of people are still considering to buy it. And that's why I don't really want to go into all the details because my old review is still legit, but I want to talk about my perception now about this device, even though it's quite old. And I would say let's get into that. Let me quickly switch the cam. Here you can see it. I definitely still like one thing, the grippy texturized plastic back. It feels absolutely solid. It doesn't creak at all, but it provides you an amazing amount of grip. Okay, it picks up a little bit of fingerprints, but it's still great. It is not as round as the newer Huawei phone, so it's still a little bit more boxy, but it still feels great in the hand, not sharp or edgy or something like that, and the one-hand usability is great. I still absolutely love their button placement. Everything else is absolutely nicely done. Only the speaker position is a little bit unfortunate, but I will get into that because usually it's on the right side, but this time here it's on the left. We don't have any Gorilla Glass or something like that, but that was to be expected from a lower end device, but we therefore still have a notification LED, which is nice to see. And I still absolutely like the design. It feels great in the hand and definitely still fights for its price and gives you a nice bang for your buck. And to get to the display, the one maybe smaller weakness is that it's not the brightest one. So sunlight readability wasn't great, but everything else about this display screams quality because, okay, it's just 720p, so not anymore super sharp, but what it definitely is solid in terms of viewing angles. The white point is absolutely great, and you still have the color temperature control in the settings with a black that is definitely solid enough, but we have a little bit more than the usual, at least higher mid-range amount of IPS glow. But one thing I definitely still absolutely know to appreciate is the color calibration. I absolutely love that one because it's nice, vivid and bright, but not completely over the top saturated or so. Still definitely more than accurate enough, natural enough, and everything looks just right in my opinion. I absolutely enjoy this experience, and I am still having a little bit of a harder time switching through my setups. So I would actually, let's check the sound now real quick. So as I already said, it is a little bit unfortunate because if you use it as a right-handed person with your right hand and in portrait, you will block the speaker, which is not usually an issue because I usually don't listen to this like music. But for games, I definitely blocked it quite a lot. If you have it on the top or on the right side, it usually is no issue. So just keep that in mind. But besides that, I definitely like the speaker because it's definitely still, even though quite old, and back then sound wasn't really a really big important factor, loud enough, a nice amount of bass for a head or a smartphone, of course, solid mids and clear highs, maybe not super high quality, maybe a little bit tinny, but still overall experience absolutely totally fine. Of course the headphone jack is still the average, so there I still wish a lot of other brands though as well to put in a little bit more effort, but yeah, it's totally fine. And I would say let's get into the next thing and let's kill off all the apps to check the performance. Let me quickly launch a few apps just so we can see how fast those launch. And it's maybe not the fastest, most snappiest device, even though I would actually almost call it snappy because apps don't maybe launch super quick, but once they are loaded, as you can see here, the app switching is absolutely fine. So this is where it is absolutely solid, but let's check the browsing performance first. Page will have to load, and I'm still absolutely happy, and even more so because now we have the Marshmallow update and everything else feels a lot more lightweight than it did the last time, because last time I said that the scrolling is quite hard and it's like dragging it through mud. This is not the case anymore. They fixed that in my opinion. Everything feels lightweight, smooth. There's little to no lag in no app because as you can see here, it's very, very smooth. There's not a lot lag. Usually if the app, especially if it caches a little bit, it's absolutely nicely performing. I still absolutely enjoy the performance here because I don't like lag, and this is something that you don't have here. I'm absolutely fine if a phone is a little bit slower sometimes, but it's not sluggish or something like that. It's absolutely nice and smooth, and the same goes even for Google Plus. Here it will show a little bit more, but yeah, totally fine. I still absolutely like the performance experience here overall, and this is more than you get on a lot of devices in this price range. The gaming performance is well as well. I won't really show it off since I still have to figure out how I could do that, but I will do that in the future, but it's definitely fine. And you can still check my old review. Now, let's get to the battery. Here is something where I'm still a little bit disappointed, and I actually didn't know how, let's say, bad it was or weak it was, because I didn't check my old video before I did the whole testing to be unbiased. But charging time is 2 hours and 45, which is a little bit on the longer side, but back then we didn't really have so much phones with, at least the lower end phones with quick charge. I would say it's bearable, but the battery life was quite disappointing, because what I did in my check when I saw the first one, I noticed that all my battery results ended with about 3 hours of screen time, which is definitely quite disappointing with a brightness of around 40%. And this time, with the Marshmallow update, I noticed a small little bit of a step up, but it could also be because of my different behavior now using my apps and so on. And I got, I would say, solid 3 hours to maybe even 3.5, or maybe a little bit even more. But this also is my usage. It could vary with yours, but it definitely improved a little bit with Marshmallow, or my usage changed. But I would say if you are not a hardcore power user, just an average user who wants a solid phone, 3.5 hours should still get you through there, I would say. So, okay. Let me quickly, I forgot to change the camera. This is something that I still have to get used to. Check the software. As we can see, if we turn on the screen, we still have the quick setup. I don't know even how to call it, where we have a few shortcuts for everything else. We have the customizable quick settings. And as you can already see, mine look different than the usual one, because someone in the comments pointed one app out to me, and I will quickly show that off. I actually want to make a video. Theme editor. It's EMUI theme editor. You can check that in the Play Store, and it allows you to change things like the shade here. You can change the background, you can change the quick settings icons, and with the new version of EMUI you can also rearrange them. And as you can see here, if we go into the settings, this looks like on all the newer phones we get from Huawei. So we have the advanced settings, we can rearrange the buttons, and you have a few nice things in the smart assistant mode, but there's not too much happening here, but you get all the basics, and I'm quite pleased. It's definitely toned down, and with especially this change in the recent apps, it makes a lot of difference, because the old one was very clunky. A lot of people still don't like it because we have to scroll a lot from one side to the other one to get there, but I like it because especially switching from one to the last app works out really fast, and this is why I'm really pleased. And I'm done with the software. I still like it a lot, and I want to show you off the pictures, and I hope I won't screw anything up, because you should be able to see them now. And if we quickly go, this is done with a flash and definitely looks already nice. If we turn off the flash, we will see that we definitely don't get too much light anymore, but it doesn't get super grainy or something like that. It still maintains quite solid, I would say. Actually quite good, especially for a 150 euro device. The low light capabilities are absolutely nice in my opinion. Nothing to complain here. Still looks sharp. Okay, one thing that I noticed is the autofocus definitely has some trouble, and you will have to keep your hand steady. But if we go into better light conditions, you will see that we can get nice amounts of details. Everything's quite nicely and sharp. The focus here also works a lot better. It's still not the fastest one, so shutter times and autofocus could improve, but the colors look very natural. It is quite sharp, definitely done really, really well. Exposure looks nice. Nothing looks really overexposed, maybe sometimes, but I have to say I'm very pleased. In more landscape photos like this one, I see that it doesn't get all the details that great, but usually I have to say everything looks quite nice. Nothing to complain. Solid camera, definitely for the price you get something solid. And if we quickly check the selfies, you will see they look nice. With the right amount of steady hand, you can see that it's definitely quite sharp. It did sometimes overexpose a little bit, but especially indoors, I was surprised how sharp it is. And yes, my head really was that bright. So let me quickly show the video off. This is something where I'm still just not at all that happy, because as you can see, not all that sharp. We have some artifacting going on. Nothing really amazing. You still have no autofocus. You will have to do tap to focus. Maybe with a third-party app you could get that done. But yeah, I would say it's decent enough. So not a huge problem. And I just noticed that I can't switch back to the cam. So I could. Something didn't work out as it did. So I would say, let me show you the pros and cons. You can already see them. And I still have to say, in the end, it's definitely still worth the price at around 150 euros if you get it on sale, but at least you get it definitely for 170. And it's definitely still worth the price if you can live with the lower battery life, that not that great. And as you can see, the pros and cons, it's definitely still a solid phone. I could still recommend, especially if you're not a power user, but you could also consider paying maybe 30-40 bucks more and get the Honor 5C, which actually isn't even that lag free, as this one a little bit smoother though. The gaming performance was better, the camera was definitely better, the screen with 1080p was sharper, the speaker was even better. So as you can see, it can't really compete with phones like the Honor 5C, which deliver a really great value, but therefore it is a little bit smaller and it still has very good qualities. And especially for me, someone who had a little bit of the odd lag on the Honor 5C, I still see this as a legit option if you want something like that, if you check it in the store, and maybe some of you even find them for a lower price. But even for 150, this seems legit and there's not too much competition. A lot of people always ask me in the comments if they should get the P8 Lite or the LG K10. And what I usually recommended was this phone, but that was still when I didn't know how bad or weak the battery life was. So getting back to that, LG K10 is definitely a great option because it has a lot better battery life, but therefore the screen, for example, was a little bit more washed out, just not a great feeling. The hand was great, speaker was okay, but this one definitely has good qualities. And the LG K10 and this one still are at around 150, the two most solid mainstream options, I would say. I don't really see a problem here. And yeah, I would say that was my first revisited review on the fly. I hope you liked it. Actually, it would be nice if you give me some feedback on how it turned out. Of course, the more I do, the more fluent the changes will be, because I had a little bit of an odd issue because I couldn't get switch back to the main feed back from this one. But you have seen it, and it definitely allows me to save so much time, and it really does make a huge difference to you, I would say. So I hope you like to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for hopefully a lot more videos due to this on the fly video setup. And if you enjoyed it, do whatever you want and leave me any questions and everything else in the comments. I wish you a nice day, and I would say I will turn off it now.